Hey y'all, welcome back to Wind Down with Lee. Y'all know how we do it. We get straight to it. This is the date night look. What do you guys think? First things first is to always make sure you have a skincare routine. If you have not already, make sure y'all go back and check out my skincare video. The first thing that I used was the milk primer. You want to make sure that you let it dry down enough until it's tacky. The way to tell that it's tacky is just touch your face and make sure that your hand is sticking to it. That's when you know. That's when you know that your makeup is going to be like Picasso. Mwah. It's going to grip to the makeup. Would y'all? Pardon the interruption. She knew what she was talking about and everything, but I just want to address a few things. First of all, this is a series for you. And when I say you, I mean those who want to see makeup done in real time so that they can better follow along. A true tutorial. Make sense? And also for those who might need a little bit more explanation when it comes to what, when, where, and how to apply particular makeup and what it's used for. My intent is only to educate you so that you can develop a simple routine to help enhance the beauty that you already have. So if this is something that is important to you, then let's get into this series. Next is going to be foundation. Now, I changed it up today. I used something totally different. Let's talk foundation. Of the several types of foundation coverages, I'm going to talk about foundation balm, and I'm also going to talk about how to choose your foundation based on the seasons. If you are like me, then you're probably wondering, what the heck is foundation balm? Let me educate you. Foundation balm is basically a skincare forward foundation. What does that mean? It means that basically the foundation has a lot of skincare products in it that are going to help your skin. Like KVD. KVD is going to have apple extract. It is also going to have sodium hyaluronate. If you look into other skincare balms such as Kevin Aquan, it's going to have hyaluronic acid. It's going to have vitamin E. It is also going to have these different types of essential oils. What these do, or what foundation balms do, is they provide hydration to your skin. Who is this best for? Maturing skin. What do we all have? Maturing skin, because we are all getting older. And as we get older, we're going to lose some collagen, which means we're going to lose some of that elasticity. It's just going to happen. So that means that we're going to have to replace it, meaning inside and out. Therefore, you're going to take collagen to replenish it inside, and then you'll use your skincare products to take care of your skin on the outside. How do we apply foundation balm, you may ask? The best way to apply foundation balm is to warm it up with your hands and then put it onto your face. That's what you see me do in the video when I do this, and I just apply it, okay? That's the best way to apply it, to get it warmed up so that you can go ahead and blend it out. Then you also see me going in with my beauty blender, but it is my opinion that a beauty blender is going to give the best natural finish that you can receive. Keeping in mind that the KVD foundation is already lightweight. So therefore, when you're using your beauty blender, be mindful of the touch because you don't want to pick up all of the product. What type of coverage does foundation balm provide? If you understand anything about KVD Cosmetics, then you understand that this brand is known for its pigmentation. This foundation balm is going to, as you look at me put it on, it is going to cover up tattoos. It is going to cover up hyperpigmentation. It is going to cover up any type of blemishes that your skin may have. So it is definitely full coverage and lightweight. Keep in mind that even with this type of coverage, it still will not settle into those fine lines or wrinkles that you may have on your face. So it is great for those of us who are novice with putting on our makeup. Check out my application here, and y'all leave a comment and let me know if it's looking real natural. I want to know your opinions. Now, let's get into foundation by the seasons. We'll start off with spring. Spring, you want to look for an illuminating foundation. Reason being is we've just come out of winter. We want that glow back because we're getting ready to pop into summer. So you want to look for an illuminating foundation when it comes to spring. When it comes to summer, you want to look for a powder foundation. Reason being is it absorbs all the excess oil. Think about it. Summer, we do a lot of sweating. And if your skin is already oily, you probably produce a particular amount of oil, so you want to reduce that, and the best way to do that is to choose a powder foundation. The fall, you want to choose a CC cream because you want to accommodate for the lack of moisture that's in the air. In the winter, we're going to say moisture, moisture, moisture. Look for a moisturizing foundation because of the lack of moisture that's in the air. Just as if we're falling into fall, it is the same, pretty much the same thing for winter. Keep in mind though that as you go through these different seasons, your complexion may change. Therefore, it's always good to have at least 2 foundations on hand so that you're ready to compensate from summer to winter. Okay? If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know in the comments below and we'll talk about it. Now, on to concealer. The next thing that you saw me use, it is the NARS Soft Matte Concealer. Okay, y'all, I'm back again. I'm going to cut her off just one more time before we get out of this series, okay? Listen, what are concealers? What are they used for? Okay, let's talk about it. Let me adjust myself. Let's talk about it, okay? Typically, concealers, you've probably heard of this already, or you probably heard of this a lot. And if you haven't, great, then I'm happy to educate you. Concealers are typically used to cover up blemishes. They're used to cover up hyperpigmentation. Get my words right, and I can tell you. They're used to cover up hyperpigmentation, dark spots, acne. They are a thicker consistency than foundation. So if you think about it, let's think of it in the concept of paint. Paint you can buy without the primer. If you buy it without the primer and you're going to cover up something that's already there, then you won't get a good enough coverage. However, if you go ahead and choose the paint that has the primer in it, i.e. the concealer that is thick enough, it is going to cover everything up in one whop. So that's what I want you to think about when you think of concealers and if you actually need to apply a concealer for yourself. Another way that concealers are used is to brighten the under eye. If you're a person that has flawless skin, God bless you, and you don't have any imperfections, then you can just use concealer to create a highlighted look when you're doing your high glam look. Another question that is brought up is, do I actually need concealer? No, you do not. I do have 2 videos that I will link here to show you that you can do a full face of makeup without concealer. Let's talk about the different types of concealer, okay? Typically, you're going to hear about your liquid concealer, you're going to hear about your cream concealer, and you're going to hear about your stick concealer. When it comes to choosing a concealer for your skin, make sure you know your skin type. It's very important because you do not want to be someone with dry skin that is choosing a mattifying liquid concealer. Why? Because it's just going to dry you out more. And contrary to that, you don't want to be somebody with oily skin who chooses a thick cream concealer because that is just not going to work for you, okay? So it's very important to know your skin type. And as I always say, develop you a skincare routine because it is important. With that being said, I know a lot of times you look at us, your content creators and your influencers, and you look at some of the products that we use and you tend to go, well, I'm going to go and buy that product too because such and such used it and it worked for them. What I want you to do before you actually go out and do that is to make sure you understand your skin type because what they're using may not work. Yes, their complexion may be the same as yours or nearest to yours. However, their skin type may be very different from yours. So remember, that's important when it comes to choosing any of your products, to include your foundation as well as your concealer, which we are talking about right now. Okay? Now let's talk about the application process. So if you choose a cream concealer, the best way to apply your cream concealer is going to be the same way that you apply your foundation balm, with your fingers. It's the best way to apply it. If you're going to use a liquid concealer, normally these have applicators with them, doe foots, things of that nature. So that's what you want to use to apply it. And simply for a stick foundation, you're just going to draw it on. It's art class. Let's do it. Let's get into it, right? We've talked about what concealer is. We've talked about how to choose your concealer, and we've talked about the application of concealer. Let's talk about the blending of your concealer. If you are a novice and you are not very comfortable with makeup as a whole, my recommendation for you is going to be to use a beauty blender to blend out your concealer. The con with a beauty blender is sometimes if you're a novice, you don't know the difference between damp and wet. So you cannot have a soaking wet beauty blender when it comes to blending out anything, your foundation, your concealer, if you choose to use it for your bronzer, whatever. It just can't be wet, but it can be damp. If you don't know what that looks like, I do have a video and I'll link it here so that you can go and check out the difference. I'll hold them up and show you what the difference looks like when it is wet versus damp. If you're going to use a brush to blend out your concealer, that's perfectly fine because a brush is going to give you that precise look. However, brushes can be streaky. So you have to be careful when it comes to brushes. So if you're not familiar or if you're not comfortable, then I'm going to always suggest you go back and use your beauty blender. If you've been paying attention to me as I have been doing the makeup and talking to you about these different things, then you can see that I kind of used a hybrid approach is what I want to call it. So I did apply my concealer straight out of the pod with a brush, not my finger. I know. And then I went on to blend it out first with a brush because I wanted it to be precisely in those areas. I used my Real Techniques brush because I like it. It's very small. It got into the corners where I needed it to be, and it left the product exactly where I wanted it. So that is for a more compact, more precise application when you're using the brush, right? And then I moved on afterwards and I used my beauty blender. Reason being is because, again, I wanted that flawless natural finish. The same way that I wanted it with my KVD foundation is the same way I wanted it with my actual concealer. So I used my beauty blender to go on top of where I used my brush. And I feel like the look came out flawless. But let me know. You tell me down in the comments if you would have done something different or if you like the actual hybrid approach that I chose when it came to applying my concealer. We'll see the end result. One fun fact about blending is it takes time. And this is why I did not speed this portion of the video up, because I wanted you to see everything. I want you to understand that most of the time I cut out the blending portions because it's mundane. You see me doing the very same thing over and over again. If you're actually sitting down with me and you're doing the makeup throughout this series, then I wanted to make sure that the video was not moving faster than what you could apply your makeup as well. So it was as if we're sitting down and we're doing a one-on-one for the most part. So, and on top of that, you get to see how long it actually takes. So when you do go and sit in someone's chair, you do understand that it is not the 10 minutes or 20 minutes that you will see on YouTube, that it actually takes time to create that flawless, beautiful face that you are paying for. Okay, so remember in the beginning when we talked about concealer being able to be a brightener? Well, this is the portion of the video where I'm going to show you what that does. So I'm using the Juvia's Places concealer, and this is in the shade 10. No, no, 10. Sorry, 9. 9. I'm going to get it. I'm using the Juvia's Place concealer, and this is in the shade 9. And what I'm going to do is I'm only, as you see me, I'm only applying it to the inner corners of my eye. This is where I want to create that brightening effect. Now I'm going to use my brush to make sure that I'm keeping it concentrated and keeping it right under my eye. Remember what I told you, brushes are definitely more precise. So that way I'm able to get it right where I want it. If you decide that you want to create a brighter eye, and when I told you you take your concealer up 2 levels, this is how I prefer you to do it. Some people can apply both of their concealers at the same time and then they can blend them out and it will still create this same look. Yes, it seems as if that takes less time. However, until you get better with doing this step, then I'm always going to recommend to do it in a 2-step process. But you get the same result without making a mistake. And then, of course, I do go in with my beauty blender just to make sure everything is good. If you haven't seen any of my videos before, then I'm going to share this tidbit with you right now. Make sure you do grab a mirror and you look up as you are blending this in. This is going to be very important when it leads into the very next step that we'll talk about in the next part of this series. When we tend to look down, as you can see, we create those lines. If you have any of those fine lines, you create more of them if you're looking down. And you definitely do not want to have that in your makeup look. You want that soft focus filter look. So in order to get that, the secret is to make sure you take a mirror of some sort, as you see me doing in the video, and you want to look up, because as you can see, when you look up, it stretches this portion of your eye upward to prevent it from getting that crease on your concealer. Okay, That's a little pro tip for you. So if you've gotten anything of value out of this video, make sure you hit that like button and let YouTube know that, hey, this video does have substance and we need to keep the train moving, okay? And we need to keep the lights on in here. Come on, help your girl out. All right, y'all. I will see y'all in the next series in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,